Okay, proceeding with Module 12, second part of culture. I actually stumbled onto this in a very interesting way. I had fully retired from NASA. I didn't have a lot of work to do. I was sort of hanging around the house. And a friend of mine from an aerospace company called me up and said he had a big problem, that he had some experts they had hired to give them advice on proposals. And they were scientists, and they had told the company that if they spent the money on these, they would probably come in first, fourth, second, whatever, but guaranteed they'd win a lot of money out of this. Well, when the results came in, the proposals ranked something like 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 40th. So he said the boss is really mad, wasting this money. He wants a new science working group, and he wants me to go lead it. Well, at the time, I hadn't been a scientist for many years, but it was an interesting set of people. I liked the company. And I said, look, here's the deal. Have a limo pick me up, put me in my favorite hotel. Let's go out to dinner with your business credit card with no limitations on anything. And I'll be glad to meet the next day with your boss and talk about this. So we went out, had quite a wonderful dinner. I'm there in the hotel, 3 in the morning. I wake up and I ask myself, what in the world am I going to do? So I thought, oh, well, you know, in final analysis, all you have to do is 4D the problem. So I went in, and the boss is there, and he's mad and looks at me, and he says, you know, need your help. And I said, okay, before we do that, let me show you the 4D system. So I charted on a piece of paper, actually I think it was a whiteboard, and said, tell me about your proposals. And as they talked about them, I put them all out at the fringe edge of the blue dimension. And I said, this is what you propose. These are all extreme proposals, pushing the limits of everything for this ultimate performance. Now tell me what the government picked. And they said, oh, I picked this really dumb things. And he showed them that graph goes into the orange dimension. And I said, the customer wanted orange. They wanted cost certainty, and they wanted low cost, and they wanted no risk, no schedule risk, no programmatic risk, no technical risk. And you proposed everything in the other area. So of course you didn't win anything. And they looked at it and their jaws dropped. Well, that led to 7 years of very lucrative consulting for me, working with proposal teams. All I did over and over was to help them match their proposal team and their proposal team leader personality, culture and personality with that of the customer. And you can read an excerpt on the back of my book by the head of proposal operations, Northrop Grumman. I think it says something like I helped them win $3 billion worth of work. It's not true. I think it's more like 11 billion, and they wouldn't have won any of it without my help, because in every case they were in the wrong place when I started, and I was able to persuade them to change. So I'm going to show you some case studies from that time and talk about that. Here you see in the slide, when blue meets blue, it'll work. When blue is proposing to orange or vice versa, it will not. Because here's what happens. If you're mismatched under stress, then proposals are very stressful. Nobody knows who's going to win. It's difficult to see what to do next. And inevitably, you will default back and you'll send a blue proposal into an orange audience, and it'll fail. So I'll show you some I actually worked with. This is something you've probably never heard of. This is a concept that never got built, probably never will get built. It's too expensive. But the idea is you take a chemically fueled laser, very high power laser, you put it up in space. And what you can do is when ICBMs are launched by anybody, they launch very, very slowly. And while they're moving slow, you can take the laser and you can put it on the fuel tank and blow up the missile. So an appealing thing for a defensive viewpoint. So I'm watching this team work, and I made a presentation that completely changed them. But I'm just going to take you through a after-the-fact narration and let you decide for yourself here. What I'm going to ask you to do is you tell me what dimension they're in and what color it is. You're feeling good about proposing. You have the world's greatest laser wizard scientist in your company. Blue visioning dimension. It turns out there's a congressman involved in this, a man you probably wouldn't know the name, Trent Lott. He wanted this to become the missile defense program, And he wants flaming wreckage, which is a kind of a joking way of saying he doesn't care what you really do, just make something blow up for political reasons, and he wants it soon, he wants it cheap, and he's going to insert himself into the selection process. What color? Orange directing. Your customer, Mr. Air Force, believes other things are more important. His managers are focused on minimizing cost and schedule. They want to get this thing out of the way as quickly as possible. Yep, orange directing. You quickly charge your Mr. Wizard to form a proposal team comprising your brightest and most innovative people, because you and Mr. Wizard are both blue badges. Visioning. You hear your competition has put a seasoned manager in charge, Mrs. Other Company, who's pushing a plain Jane approach. Orange. You have the advanced technology for the 21st century system, but no one can afford this thing. You're in blue. Your people are confident. The Air Force technical wizards who are not involved in the process love your ideas and your advanced concept. This is what we do, don't we? We go and seek out the evidence for what we want to believe. Blue. Is there any possibility that you'll win this competition? No. Here's where things are. Here you are, your Mr. Leader's personality, your design approach, your management approach. Here's the other company, and here's the customer. What happened here? You put a blue badge in charge. We all like people like ourselves. He found a bunch of other blues. They got on the blue bus, put on their blue eyeglasses, and drove down the road. What I want you to see is how easy this is to do. And I made a lot of money doing this. Here's another one. This is the counter case. This is the successor to Hubble. It's not exactly, but it's kind of a Hubble successor. And the idea was to build this very, very large telescope and put it out into deep space. Just to show you, there's Hubble's mirror. This is this thing's mirror. It's called JWST. This is a tennis court size sunshade, so that this part of the telescope can operate almost at absolute zero, and the part where the spacecraft is can be warm. Can you imagine how much harder this is than Hubble? So you're going to try and win this. Your customer wants an 8-meter cold telescope, and he's got $500 million. Hubble Space Telescope was 2.4 meters, very easy to build thermally, and cost $3 billion. Your customer's in the blue. His team is populated by the best and brightest scientists with intellectual air superiority, means they're in charge in the project. Blue. You really want to win, so you put your Mr. Manager, who recently completed an astronomical telescope on cost and schedule, in charge. He selects experienced engineers for his team. He's orange. Mr. Customer sees advanced technology as the only path to success. Conventional designs are backups. Yeah, because anyone that knows what they're doing knows this is impossible. This dream is completely impossible. You know better. Proven approaches will win. Your team focuses on developing details that increasingly show the implausibility of the customer's vision. You're orange, and what's interesting is the more orange you get, the more ridiculous you make your customer look. Your competitor put a scientist in charge with no hardware experience. He is promoting risky, high-promise solutions. Blue. You are sure these will not appeal to the customer, and he will choose your expensive, conventional design. Orange. Is there any possibility you'll win this competition? The answer is no. What's happening here? It's a counterexample to the other one. What happened? You got this guy who was a manager, took a project through the late phase of where you need orange people. His friends are orange, his team's orange. He finds people like him, puts them on the orange bus, puts on the orange eyeglasses, and drives down the road. What's really interesting about this is that I explained their problem to them. I showed them what they were doing wrong, and I showed them how they had to write a blue proposal to win. I went off to Europe for the summer and on a home exchange, and I did not work on the proposal with them because I was out of the country. And I came back, and they asked me to be on what they call a red team. This is an effort where you try and act like you are the customer reading the proposal. So I'm reading the thing, and it's completely orange. And I said, didn't you understand that briefing I gave you? Oh yeah, we understood it. I said, well, you wrote an honest proposal. I said, no, we didn't. So I actually had to get out a yellow marker and go through sentence by sentence and show them what the problem was. Then they could fix it. It's back to this interesting phenomenon called human perception that we deal with over and over. They could not see their error. Their mind became blind. Another form of normalization of deviance, I suppose. Takeaway: culture is a potent fifth force element, and these are the things you need to do. Match your lead to your customer, and be 4D able, just like with a person, with no dimension under the threshold. Okay, that completes this segment. On to the next.